Good evening. The news gang is here on the show tonight. The lowdown of the shutdown and the showdown. Also on the show, the horses, the donkeys, and a whole animal farm. We are back to the future. Kaikai kicks off a journey of reflection. Gachuri has a low punch for the upper house. Yvonne is communicating her take with some empathy. On the memo, we are tired. And the angle has BBI and 2022 for dinner. Do you feel hungry? Let's start.
Hi, Ledama Olekena, son of Midangayu, who is a son of Tata, a son of Mason, and for the great people of Narok County, I vote yes.
Mimi Stewart Madzayo, napiga kura yao ya ndio.
Na sasa tunapata bilioni 2. Nasema ndio. Asante.
I, Sitwila Amos Wako, son of Daniel, and grandson of Wasikongo. I vote yes.
Gachuri, son of Kiroga.
It was an interesting sitting in the Senate today. Finally, we know the full names of some of our senators. Secondly, we also know whose sons and
their lineage.
Yeah, we also know whose sons and daughters they are. Away from the drama of the passage of this formula and the subsequent discussion around the county allocation of revenue bill, at least finally something good can be said about the Senate. Something good coming from the Senate after a series of what you'd say are misses. Finally, there's something worth talking about the Senate this evening. We have a formula, and that formula will ultimately make it possible for counties to get their resources from the financial year 2020-2021, albeit 3 months late. We're almost into the first quarter of the financial year 2020-2021, and you can imagine counties have not received their share. Yet the national government, parliament, the judiciary have continued to make use of their resources in this financial year, but counties haven't. But be it as it may, what is important to say this evening is that counties will receive the exact amount of money they received in the last financial year for this financial year, because the formula that was approved by the House this evening kicks in next year, the financial year 2021-2022.
So after it's all said and done, it's the same thing as last year.
Yeah, but you see, it was not going to be possible to share this year's resources without making a determination on the formula, because the formula that was used in the last financial year lapsed. So this year we didn't have a formula to share the resources for the financial year 2020-2021. What the senators did is to say, we have approved the formula. However, for purposes of neatness in terms of budget making process in the counties, so that we don't send the so-called shockwaves in terms of budgetary processes, let us allow them to get the same amount of resources that they got last year. But now subsequently from the next financial year, our new formula kicks in. This new formula that will ensure, first of all, no county loses any money, and then that every county will gain some money. Some will gain in billions, others in millions. For example, Nairobi County will get the highest amount of money in terms of resources for the next financial year. It will get 19.2 billion shillings. This is an increase of 3.3 billion shillings. Nakuru will get 13.02 billion shillings, an increase of 2.5 billion shillings. Kiambu, 11.7 billion, an increase of 2.2 billion. Turkana, 12 billion, 12.6 billion, an increase of 2 billion. Let me go to the Tharaka Nithi, among the lowest. The Tharaka Nithi will get 4.2 billion in the next financial year, which is an increase of 289 million shillings. Nyamira, 5.1 billion, which is an increase of 324 million shillings. So every county will get some extra money in the next financial year. But I think there's a catch. And the catch is this formula that was arrived at, these permutations that were crafted by the Senate, are as a result of an increase of resources to counties by 53.5 billion shillings as a result of that State House meeting attended by the President, ODM leader Raila Odinga, Council of Governors Chair Wycliffe Oparanya, and the Senate leadership. But the 53.5 billion shillings is a conditional grant. And at this point, wacha nirushe kitu inaitwa pass kwa mtu anaitwa Yvonne.
So conditional, yes, which means it is not guaranteed. And I'm not sure that the president will be confident in committing to an extra 50 billion shillings for counties in the next financial year, considering the year we have been through with COVID-19 and many people, including the WHO, saying things are likely to return to normal in 2022. Here is the catch. 2022 is an election year. Typically, in an election year, there's a lot of fiscal consolidation that's going in. At the same time, we've got BBI, we've got our revenues, which are not likely to go up next year. Revenues have already dipped significantly, even with all of those measures that the president himself put in terms of reducing the taxes to cushion the ordinary taxpayer. That means the government will be making less this year. And with our debt situation, with the way it is, 1 trillion shillings in debt repayment and our average revenue collection at 1.1 trillion, that means we are living way below or way above our means. So even if it is a win-win now, this could hurt us in the long run. If he is committed to giving that extra 50 billion, it's got to come from somewhere. So we'll be squeezed even harder. Either we'll borrow more or there will be higher taxes. So I'm not so sure about that conditional grant.
But Yvonne, I mean, if you think about it also, I think that it does not speak very well of the structures we have if it has to take the president to say, we will give 50 billion. 50 billion from where? Because in the structures of devolution, strictly speaking, actually, there isn't a role for the president to decide how much money goes to the counties or does not. And so, in the end, it looks to me like another political solution to what typically should be a very technical process that, you know, goes through the procedures in the House and all of these things.
And I just want to add, sorry, before you go, so it's conditional. So what happens if next year this money is not available? And yet this new formula has been adopted, predicated on or based on that promise of extra money. I mean, if next year he says, as we have heard him say this year, hakuna pesa, remember when we were revisiting, hakuna pesa, and if he does say there is no money, I mean, there is no money.
The statement from Kanzedena said exactly that, subject to availability of finances.
See, Joe,
that's quite big.
So where does that leave us with this?
See, Joe, you see, the formula has passed.
So
whichever discussion we have here, we already have a formula. And that formula says population 18%, health 17%, agriculture 10%, urban services 5%, roads 8%, poverty index 14%, basic share 20%, land area 8%, total 100%. You realize that if you compare this to the last formula, there are some two parameters that are not there, fiscal prudence and fiscal effort. So those parameters have gone elsewhere. And to change this formula, to alter it in any way, you have to get the concurrence of 24 delegations. So if next year we are told there's no money, you live with this formula. Unless 24 counties can change it.
Yeah, because you see what is passed is the formula, not really the amount, isn't it?
Yes.
That is what this is about. And Jamila, yes, you.
Yes. You know, something Gachuri and Yvonne spoke about pesa ziko wapi, and that soundbite of the president saying hakuna pesa was in Chemutai Goin's story earlier today.
Yeah.
And then I remember, and I was asking you, Gachuri, that I heard that the pending bills that we have right now are about 350 billion. And I was asking Gachuri, did I hear that figure correct? That kuna 350 billion pending bills, na sasa there's 50 billion that's supposed to be given next year to counties for that, because this formula has been passed. That's number one. Number two, we played the sound clip of the senators today voting so enthusiastically and humorously to some extent, and serious with others, and congratulating themselves, and took selfies, and there was even a video of them being really happy. Begs the question of why did it have to take so long for this to happen? Because the senators have done their jobs. A job that they should have done 3 months ago, a job that did not need 11 sittings or more, a job that did not need arrests and tears and Senate security meetings and bail and no charge sheet, or there is a charge sheet. So it took a lot for this to happen. And my question is, why are the senators congratulating themselves for doing what they were supposed to have done 3 months ago? Because of the squabbles we've noticed, we've had a near county shutdown that was announced yesterday by the Council of Governors, that was announced by the Council of Governors some weeks back. Although today, what surprised me was, even though the chairman of the Council of Governors announced there should be a shutdown from today, only 3 counties actually went ahead to announce the shutdown. And then it was not implemented in those were, in fact, in his own county of Kakamega. Kakamega, watu walikuwa wanaendelea na kazi kama kawaida. In Machakos, they ignored the directive by the governor saying that shughuli zisitishwe, but people went to hospital today and they got services. But my question is, why did it have to go through this route? The president seemed to have brought the solution. Why didn't the president speak 3 months ago? So for me, sioni haja ya maseneta kujipongeza kama wanavyojipongeza hapo tunavyoona, because they just did their jobs.
Or why did they even have to wait for the president?
Linus, we saw a lot of chest thumping even during this debate from the senator saying, oh, you know, we cannot be controlled, I don't know from where, saying that this is an independent house, we will do what we need to do. And a lot of drama, as we saw, and yet it does seem to everybody now that this solution came only after there was what you would call a political intervention, because there's nothing that has changed except that there was a meeting between President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Senate leadership, and what makes it even more political is the fact that there was Raila Odinga, the ODM leader. I mean, in the structure of government, of the Senate, or anything that we know, he doesn't feature anywhere, but he was actually an important part of that meeting.
Joe, I think the main reason the Senate should actually celebrate is they've made a very good attempt at independence. They have tried to go it alone. They have tried to actually own the process. And you know, imperfect as these things can be, this is a small step that must be welcomed. I thought it was a downside when they sat around a table with the president and the former prime minister, because now it was taking the shape of, I don't understand what, but the Senate made a very good attempt at owning this, and you know they were happy to take insults or condemnation from the governors. But that is one. The second thing is they shouldn't rush to celebrate for the very reasons that I think Yvonne has spoken about. This is a conditional grant, and when I saw the text of that deal today, my mind went back, Joe, to 1997. Just before the election, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, NAT, and the government of the former president, Daniel Arap Moi, were at loggerheads, and we covered those strikes. You know, teachers marching on the streets and demanding a pay rise. And a formula was struck. And I remember the former Secretary General of NAT, Ambrose Adea Adongo, singing in State House. Asante Baba. I remember that song. It was completely off tune. It was his own song. But either way, it captured his excitement that this is a real great deal. Now, what was the detail of the teacher salary increment deal? It was supposed to be phased across 5 years, starting the 1st of January 1997. You know, you don't have to go far. In 2013, the first cabinet secretary of labor for the Jubilee administration, this administration, was rejecting that NAT deal. It was legal notice 534 of 1997, and they said it was illegal and encouraged them to begin afresh. I feel...
And that was 16 years later, by the way.
16 years later. I feel the Senate may not have to wait for 16 years. They'll know the detail of this when the rubber hits the road next year. Because again, I want to say this. We forget so soon. Just the other day, senators and governors were marching to the High Court over the same revenue sharing tussle. That was the division of revenue bill, Francis, if you remember. And the amounts, the differences were really small because it was between 314
and 316.5.
Actually, 314 to 362. And they ended up settling for 316.5. Look at the amounts there. The amounts are much, much smaller. Here is a government that could not move an inch over about 10 billion that now comes and says, oh, guys, we have 50 billion.
Actually, it's 53.5.
And isn't that the problem with devolution as we know it right now, ladies and gentlemen? Because we seem to have some reluctance at the center. I mean, the government, by every definition, the national government is extremely centrist. You get the sense that this devolution thing has been accepted rather grudgingly by the national government, so much so everything has to be so hard for it to happen. And when it happens, it is what Jamila would call shingo pande. It is usually not because this is something that the constitution requires. This is not something that we've all voted for overwhelmingly in the constitution, that devolution should be there. It almost looks like these counties exist at the pleasure of the national government, that they can play these kinds of games when the rubber is about to hit the road.
What more to illustrate it, Joe, than the round table with the president that then results in a 50 billion shillings
pledge.
What do they call it?
Pledge, yeah.
They dole out pledge.
Yes, it's more of a carrot.
Yeah.
And then suddenly we have a deal and everybody is singing and dancing that it's a win-win. Win-win deal.
And
I think
can we hear more comment?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's the sixth gangster tonight. No.
Yeah, they were.
maybe he can come in at this point. At this point, Senator Murkomen, and we saw you very happy.
Thank you.
We saw you celebrating. What is the reason you are celebrating?
Yes. Yes, Joe and all the gangsters. First of all, I really want to thank you very much for having me tonight, and to thank you for always having that very important discussion. This is one of the most content-based programs in our national TV, and so therefore I really want to thank you for having me. Number two is that there's a bit of misconceptions from your discussion about what happened today in the Senate. First of all, I want to confirm that I was celebrating today not because of the 53.5 billion, not because there are 370 billion promised to be shared among counties. I was first celebrating because there has been an impasse for 12 times, for about 3 months in the Senate, and the fight we were having was to fight for equity in this country. And when I say equity, is to have a formula that was not going to disenfranchise any county. Those of us who were, 7 of us who came from counties that were meant to benefit from the committee formula, what is called Kibiru formula, decided to join hands with the other 18 counties that were supposed to lose up to 2 billion shillings, so that then we can have a conversation about sharing resources in the country in a manner that is equitable. We wanted to debunk the myth of one man, 1 shilling, which is a fallacy because it didn't exist and it doesn't exist. Tonight I'm very happy because 1, as a member of the Senate, we have done a good job. 2, I was a member of the consensus committee, the 12-member committee of the Senate, and our report that was adopted this afternoon actually captures exactly what we were fighting for as Team Kenya. 1, the report, and I want you to emphasize there, forget about the promise by the president. That is neither here nor there, and I will be telling you about that. The first thing is to first celebrate the fact that counties that were from marginalized areas, 18 of them, will not lose any money in comparison to the allocation they had of 316.5 billion. The resolution says, going forward, all counties will get money that were allocated last year and above. Meaning, and there's a question one of you asked there, which was, what will happen if the president does not keep his promise of the 53.5 billion, so that next year, for example, counties are given 320, 325, 330, or whatever figure, there will be no county, and like the original formula, there will be no single county which will get resources lesser than they got previous year. That is a big win. That has been the reason why we've been fighting all through. And I want to emphasize there and tell you, it is wrong for you to give credit to the executive. It has absolutely, the executive has yielded to pressure from the Senate. It took even some senators being arrested. It took some of us being molested and harassed. But you see, eventually, the executive yielded not to the 53.5, that is our second issue, yielded first to the formula that we were pursuing of win-win. That is, for me, that is the real win. The additional 53.5 billion is conditioned on whether they will be given next year or not. But at the moment, the biggest win is that no county is going to lose resources compared to the allocation in the previous year.
Senator Murkomen, two troubling things that you say here. Isn't it true that the 53 billion was part and parcel of why it was not possible for any county to lose, as we saw now in the figures that have been given? And secondly, doesn't it bother you that the executive has to agree to anything for the Senate to agree or to reach a formula? What role would the executive really be playing here if all our structures were working the way they ought to work?
Joe, the 53.5 billion could have been the reason why the executive, or their promise could have been the reason why they allowed us to go ahead with the formula. But the winning will not be based on the 53.5 billion. Assuming next year counties are given 316.5, it will mean that they will get the same allocations they have been getting, unlike the original formula that was being pushed by the executive, which was going to deny some counties up to 2 billion, 1.8, some others 800 million, and then was going to allocate those resources to other counties in an inverted and misguided pursuit of what was called one man, one vote, which is really a fallacy.
What I'm asking
Joe,
about
let's first separate 53.5.
The executive, why does the
leave that alone? There is a resolution. If you read the resolution, pardon?
The executive, why does it have a role in what the Senate is doing with regard to this issue of how much money goes to the counties?
The executive, definitely, the executive has a role in allocation of resources in the country. The Division of Revenue Bill and even the County Allocation of Revenue Bill is generated first from the executive, but the decision making is in Parliament. The reason why executive plays a role is because they have a responsibility on the division of on the proposals related to division of resources. So their role is up to there. In fact, we are only going to confirm, and one of you, I don't remember it was who said rightly, this is a promissory note. We are only going to confirm the 53.5 billion in about March, April, when we discuss the Division of Revenue Bill. And I need to remind you something else. There is a huge victory we received this year from the Supreme Court, which says that, based on our going to court last year with Council of Governors, it says that before passing Division of Revenue Bill, the national government cannot appropriate resources, meaning that next year during Division of Revenue negotiations, we as the Senate will be in a stronger position to force national government to give the 370 billion, because if they don't and there is a stalemate, even national government will not have money to appropriate. Unlike last year when we had a stalemate, the national government appropriated money for its entities at national level at the expense of the county government. So I think it's important to know that Senate now is in a better negotiating position come to the next Division of Revenue Bill.
Senator Gachuri here, I'm looking at the formula that your team came up with, the team of 12, that's sharing 370 billion shillings using allocation factor of 158.25 billion shillings. Correct. Two questions. Number one, does this mean that the 158 billion shillings is the baseline, as you were calling it previously? I had 270 billion for Linturi and 316 billion the other time for Sakaja. Are you saying this is the bare minimum, the baseline that must be applied in all formulas, whichever formula that you come up with? Number one. And number two, tonight, people who are watching us are asking, so is there a resolution in terms of the stalemate that we saw, and whether counties will now reopen after the shutdown that was ordered by the governors? And the governors continue to blame you, the senators, for this crisis that we have found ourselves in as a country.
First, I need to remind you, Gachuri, we now have a resolution for 5 years. It cannot be changed for the next 5 years. So we have a resolution that will be applied for the whole period of 5 years. And that resolution is in 3 phases. Number 1, for the first, for this year, all counties will get the resources they got last year, which is a share of what they got in 316.5 billion. Number 2, there will be an interseating period between 316 and 370. Assuming the national government do not allocate the 370 next year, it will mean, therefore, that the counties will get 316.5, what they used to get from the 316.5, they will get the same amount, and then what is on top of it will be a plus B. What do you call plus B? You apply the formula on what is on top of it, meaning, again, no county would lose, all counties will gain. Now, when the amount reach 370 billion, you now apply the whole formula of part A is the 158.25 billion will be shared based on what counties used to get 2019-2020. That is at the moment. And then the one on top, the additional resources on top of that will be applied, the formula you saw there, the one you read about. When you apply that formula now at 370, the figures you projected today or broadcasted today will now come into play. The second issue you've asked is about the reopening of counties. We are done with the resolution. It will be sent to the National Assembly. National Assembly can do little to change that resolution because this is only one of those resolutions that they cannot tamper with unless they get 2/3 of the National Assembly to reverse it, which I doubt. They've never got it, and I doubt if they will ever get it. So we hope that when National Assembly passes the resolution on Tuesday, it will become now applicable. Then the county allocation of revenue, which we debated today and left it at the third reading stage, will now be passed. So I'm hoping that on Tuesday, National Assembly will play their part and the resources will be released to the counties because we will have passed also the county allocation of revenue bill. So we have made tremendous progress based on the same. But I want to emphasize for the benefit of everybody, this took the sweat of 25 senators from 25 counties who decided that they were going to stand firm and fight for devolution. This is the first time I think the senators stood against the executive and won something and forced the executive to increase the money to go to counties.
Great.
All right, thank you very much, Elgeyo Marakwet, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, for those insights, giving his reactions there and reflections about the... Linus, you have one more question.
Yeah, just a quick one before we'll let him go, because this county revenue issue is also featured in the BBI discussions. And I would like to hear from you, Senator, what implication the conversation in BBI would have on what was passed today?
Linus, that's a good question, and I must admit at this point in time that when we were dealing with the formula, we were also alive to the nuances that are coming out in relation to the BBI. And I believe that the contents of the final document of BBI, although I don't have them from the grapevine and from the things we've read and the conversations you hear from people, they mirror what we saw on the division of revenue, on the formula debate. And particularly when it comes to the same counties being marginalized, the same conversation is about, I hear they are going to add about 100 virtual constituencies to be divided only to the populous counties, which means they will take us back to this conversation we've had on division of revenue. And if the same issues will also be brought, I hear then they want to bring the formula also to BBI to say some counties will get more money than others. It should warn those who are working on this document that it will not be business as usual. It will not be where Senate is not going to be rubber stamp. It will not be easy, even if you coerce and arrest the senators, it will not be easy for you to force your agenda through the Senate. And if it was difficult to pass it through the Senate, it will be even more difficult to get 24 counties to do so. If it was difficult to do 24 counties, even National Assembly will be difficult. So those of us who have been saying BBI is just the solution, is the panacea for everything, must now be put on notice that we have demonstrated, as we did with the 25 counties under the Team Kenya, that unless you pursue a win-win, unless you pursue a process that actually have real conversation and communication and discussion among the real people of Kenya, it will not be easy for anyone to force a BBI report on the people of Kenya.
And what I'm hearing from you, Senator Murkomen, is you are happy with what transpired today, but certainly you are not going to sleep with both eyes closed. One will be open, is that right?
Yes, yes, for two reasons, Linus. One, we know that the reason why even some people allowed us to succeed at this point in time is that they were salvaging the BBI process, and they wanted to not to continue antagonizing, and they were realizing that our positions are hardening. So we know that when they come with next proposals on BBI, we do not want to go and sleep and think. And the good thing is that many people who were taking political leaders for granted have come to the realization of the things we were telling them, that these people have dangerous cards. And now their antenna, the antenna of not just senators, but the counties where they come from is high. And they are very aware of the dangers that come with trusting 2 or 3 people to say they are going to do a document for us and we are going to rubber stamp. Number 2 is that for the money that we have forced the executive to concede, the 53.5 billion, I am not going also to accept that we have that money. We don't. It's a promissory note. What we need to do is to ensure that in March, April next year, when we deal with division of revenue, we consolidate the same figure, the same number of senators, 25 counties, and hopefully with the rest of the senators to push the executive to give the 70, and without which we cannot pass the division of revenue bill. So we cannot sleep. In fact, I kept telling senators, we just won a battle. The war is still on. We cannot go and rest and sleep and say we have achieved much and we are not going to be come alive to the issues that we are going to deal with.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. We're going to take a short break right now, and then we'll come back with more discussions here on the News Gang.